Most people think Okoboji shuts down after Labor Day. They're wrong. And that assumption is quietly costing buyers some of the best deals and best experiences this area has to offer. Let me paint you a picture of what January looks like in the Iowa Great Lakes. It's a Saturday morning. Summer crowds are long gone. Traffic, non-existent. You can park anywhere you want. But the lakes are still alive. Heck, you got ATVs, side-by-sides, and yes, the occasional brave soul driving a car across 2 feet of solid ice like it's just another Tuesday. It's not a joke. That's the ice culture up here. And it surprises every single out-of-towner who sees it for the first time. Ice fishing is one of the biggest traditions in the Iowa Great Lakes area. And it's not a small local thing. It's a legitimate national destination. The North American Ice Fishing Circuit, one of the premier professional panfishing tours in the country, has come to the Okoboji area. Pro anglers competing for serious cash prizes. Weigh-ins held right here at the hut in Okoboji. And here's the thing that makes it personal for me. One of my good buddies, someone I've fished with more times than I can count, is Ben Luderman. If you know anything about professional panfishing, you know who Ben Luderman is. Ben has won the Okoboji tournament multiple times. And in the UPL League, he's widely considered the GOAT. The fact that a tournament like that chooses the Okoboji area, that tells you something about the water you'd be buying on. But ice fishing is just the start. Every January, this area hosts the Winter Games. In 2025, 59,000 people showed up. 2026, 40 people showed up. I already know what you're thinking. The area must be going to crap. They were down 10,000 people. Wrong. Attendance was down due to temperatures reaching 40 degrees below zero with the wind chill. The amount of people that came, well, speaks volumes how well respected this event has become. I mean, that's not a local event. That's a regional draw that fills hotels, fills restaurants, and fills the bars on a Friday night in the middle of the winter. Speaking of bars, the idea that nightlife goes quiet after summer, not even close. Captain's Getaway, Nautical Bar and Grill, Okoboji Lodge and Lunkers Lounge, live music on weekends, a crowd that actually knows each other's name. And if you've got kids or you just want to swim when it's negative 20 outside, Boji Splash at Bridges Bay Resort is an 84-degree indoor water park that's open year-round. I think in the winter it's usually just weekends, but you get my drift. So before we go any further, the ghost town narrative, let's put that to rest right now. But here's what makes winter in Okoboji truly different. And it's nothing to do with events or bars. It has to do with who's here. The community you don't see in the summer, this area can hit 120,000 people on a weekend. The traffic is real. The waits at restaurants are real. And I say that with love. Because that energy is part of what makes this place special. But when September hits, something shifts. The old northern invaders, they go home. And what's left is an actual community. People know your name at the bar. You get a table without waiting. You drive through town without feeling like you're stuck in a parking lot. For someone thinking about relocating here full time, not just buying a vacation home, this is a version of Okoboji that matters most. Because this is a version you'll live in 10 months out of the year. I drive an hour each way to work every day. Have for years. Because this is where I want to be. And in the last 3 winters, I can count on one hand the number of days the weather actually stopped me from getting in. People assume Iowa winters are brutal. And look, it can get cold. We average about 39 inches of snow a year. But the last 2 winters have been mild enough that buying activity barely slowed down. Heck, we had days in February this year that hit 70 degrees. See, look, I'm out golfing in February. That gets people moving fast. There's also something that happens every spring that you won't find anywhere else in the country. The Rotary Car Drop. A car gets placed on the frozen ice of Smith's Bay on West Okoboji, usually right around winter games in late January, and then you wait. You buy a ticket for $10. That ticket represents a specific minute on the clock. When the ice finally gives away and the car drops, a specially engineered clock inside that car stops the moment water hits it. Nobody knows who won until the rescue crew pulls it out of Smith's Bay and checks the clock. In mild winters like 2024 and 2026, that car has dropped as early as February. The event has raised over $150,000 plus for local charities over the years. The winner takes home $1,000, the rest goes back into the community. That's the kind of tradition that doesn't exist in a place without roots. Hey, real quick, if you're seriously researching a move to the Iowa Great Lakes area, whether that's lakefront, lake access, or just relocating to the area in general, I put together a full relocation guide for this market. It covers the lakes, the towns, what to expect, year-round, all of it. Link is in the description below. It's totally free. And I'm curious, drop in the comments, what's the one thing about the off-season up here that surprised you most? Or if you haven't been here in the winter, what are you most unsure about? I read every single one because they help me understand how Okoboji is viewed from those that aren't necessarily regulars here. All right, let's get back to it. Here's where it gets interesting for anyone who's actually thinking about buying. There's a misconception that winter is a bad time to buy at the Iowa Great Lakes. And I get why people think that. But let me show you what the market actually looks like. Based on 2025 full year data, and 2026 is tracking almost identical, Dickinson County had roughly 260 active listings in January. By August, that number peaked somewhere between 400 and 430. So in winter, you're shopping from a pool that's about 40% smaller than peak summer. Now, does that mean fewer options? Yes. But here's the flip side nobody talks about. When inventory is lower, the sellers who are listing in the winter tend to have a reason. They're not casually testing the market. They want to move the property. And that creates a different kind of conversation. Year-round in this market, homes typically sell somewhere between 92 to 98% of list price. Westlake properties hold firm because sellers know what they have and they're not in a hurry. But step off the water slightly. Lake access, acreage, in-town property. And winter is where you have room to work. I've written offers in January where the negotiation takes longer and goes deeper than anything I'd see in July. Because in summer, the seller's mindset is, the next guy will buy it. In the winter, they sit with it a little more. And that patience works in a buyer's favor. Here's the one thing, and this is the part most out-of-town buyers never think about. Buying in the winter shows you the property and the area in its truest form. You see how the roads get plowed. You find out if the furnace is solid. You meet the actual neighbors, not the renters who are there for 2 weeks in July. You see what you're actually buying into. The summer version of Okoboji, it's incredible, but it's not the full picture. Winter is where you find out if this place is really home. There's one more thing I want to leave you with, and this one is more of a local secret than anything. The period right after Labor Day is probably my favorite time of the year in the area. The weather is still incredible. We're talking highs in the 60s and 70s through September and into October. The leaves start turning. The water's still warm enough to be on, but the summer crowd, it's gone. You can get a boat out on West Lake on a Saturday morning in late September and feel like you own the place. Same restaurants, same bars, same views, a fraction of the people. For buyers, this window is underrated for a different reason. Sellers who listed in June and didn't sell through the summer, by September, their mindset has probably shifted. The urgency that wasn't there in July starts to show up. And you're negotiating in a market with less competition, but more motivated sellers. It's not a guaranteed discount. This market doesn't really work that way, but it's as close to a buyer's edge as you're gonna find. And honestly, even if you're not buying right now, if you've only ever been here in the summer, come back in September. Just once. Walk Arnold's Park when it's quiet. Sit on a dock at sunset with nobody around. You'll understand why people who live here full time think summer visitors are only getting half the story. Bottom line, Okoboji in the off season isn't a compromise. It's a completely different experience that most buyers never even consider, and missing it means missing the full picture of what you're actually buying into. Whether you're looking at lakefront, lake access, or just want to know what it's actually like to live here year round, shoot me a call, a text, or heck, book a strategy call. All my contact info and that free relocation guide are in the description below. No pressure, no pitch, just answers. Now that you know what the off-season really looks like here, you need to understand the two major lakes. So go watch this video right there.